Hello YouTube, good afternoon, how are you doing? And for those that don't know, my name's Matthew and this is Matthew Hawker Gaming. Today we're going to get back and do another video in my Commander series. And for those that don't know the Commander series, I've been doing this for a while now. I've been doing it for 2 years or thereabouts now. And this is the series where I go through my Commander decks and tell you a little bit about each. As I say, for those that don't know me in person, I've been playing Commander since a long time. In terms of my Magic playing career, it's about 50%. So I started playing Magic in 2001-ish or thereabouts. So I've been playing Commander since 2010, and I play quite a lot. I mean, you say it's one of the only formats I play now. In addition to, I also play Limited as well. All right, today we're going to do all about my Mill Commander deck, which is Oona Queen of the Fae, which I've had for quite a while now. It's had some upgrades and that recently, so I'm going to talk you a little bit through that. And for those that don't know, as I say the channel before, my name is Matthew. This is Matthew Hawker Gaming, and we're going to do a giveaway today as well. It's going to be something related to the mill. I mean, if you can work out what it is, we're going to give away a full game. It's going to be a PC game, which is related. Anyway, I'll link it. When I get to it, I'll tell you what it is. And then you can say, go to the comment section below the video and I'll link the game. And you can one of my lucky viewers will be able to win that. And as always, I'm going to link the deck on Moxfield, which I've actually done it now. I did it before I filmed the video, so it will be available as soon as the video goes live anyway. So I'll link that again in the description. Moxfield, for those that don't know, is it's a way to track your decks basically and keep tracks of what decks, what cards are in what deck, and it enables you to change and edit things very easy. Anyway, I recommend Moxfield. I mean, you say the weather is quite sunny outside at the moment. Anyway, sunny day today. Anyway, let's get on with the video. I mean, you say, so today's command is going to be Oona, Queen of the Fae. So this is the one from the, this is the FTV version of Oona. So Oona came into in Lorwyn block. So Oona is a free blue-black hybrid, blue-black hybrid, blue-black hybrid for 5/5 flyer. She is a fairy wizard, and it's seen. This card is easy to get now. It's seen lots of reprints recently, and the most recent being in one of the Commander precons. So Oona has an ability which is X blue-black hybrid. Choose a color. Target opponent exiles the top X cards of his or her library. For each card of the chosen color exiled this way, put a 1/1 blue and black fairy rogue creature token with flying onto the battlefield. I'll show you the token quickly. So that's the fairy rogue that it makes. Okay, so a bit of history about Mill. So basically, for those that are newer to the game, so Mill is one of the alternate win conditions to win in Magic. You win. Well, the normal base win condition is you deal someone 20 damage. And for those that don't know Mill, so Mill harkens back. Mill is based on what a card. There used to be a card in, I believe it was Antiquities. I think it was printed. Was called Millstone. And it's a 2-mana artifact. For 2 mana and activation and tapping it, it basically milled some. It basically puts the top X cards, where this is the 2 in this case, of library into the graveyard. And so in Magic, you win when someone runs out of cards and they can't draw another card as well. And there's also other games in which this is also the case. I play also things like Eternal. That's the same as Magic. Hearthstone, you don't win immediately. When you do, you just start taking damage when you run out of cards. But there's other games where it's a normal win strategy. Anyway, so in a mill deck, you're looking at basically there's various combos that will win you the game. I'll explain the combos will be in the first section because I feel that's an easy way to do it because there's quite a few in this deck. Yeah, so anyway, milling in Magic is an alternate win condition, and people that play Commander generally like alternate win conditions. I don't think they generally like combos particularly, but like there's plenty in this deck anyway. All right, so let's go to we'll start with the first section, and these are going to be a selection of the combos in the deck. So the first card is Blood Chief Ascension. Basically, this is a black for an enchantment. So this is basically a quest. So it's at the beginning of each end step. If an opponent lost 2 or more life this turn, you may put a quest counter on Blood Chief Ascension. whenever a card is put into opponent's graveyard from anywhere, so that it won't trigger on Oona, but like it will trigger on most of the mill in the deck. And if Bloodchief Ascension has 3 or more quest counters on it, you may have that player lose 2 life. If you do, you gain 2 life. So this goes infinite with stuff like this Mindcrank, which is 2 mana artifact. When an opponent loses life, that player puts that many cards from his top of their library into graveyard, so it just keeps thing and it will mill out their entire deck. As long as they don't have like an Eldrazi or something, but it's fine. And it also goes infinite with Dustmantle Guildmage. So this is blue and a black for a 2/2. It has 2 activated abilities. The first one being 1 of blue and a black. So for those that don't know, are newer to Magic as well, Dimir is basically the guild which originates from original Ravnica. Or that block anyway. I can't remember which set it was in. And anyway, Dimir is the blue-black guild in Magic. So yeah. Anyway, so and a lot of their mechanics are based on like milling and stuff. So that was one of the guilds. Right, so it's 1 of blue and a black. Whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere this turn, that player loses 1 life. And that's not targeted, so that does all the opponents and scales up. And then it has 2 of blue and a black. Target player puts the top 2 cards of his library into graveyard, so that goes infinite with Mindcrank or the Ascension as well. And then you've got Sir Conrad. For 3, a black and black for a 5/4 legendary human knight. I mean, Sir Conrad reads whenever another creature dies or a creature is put into a graveyard from anywhere on the battlefield, or a creature card leaves your graveyard, it deals 1 damage to each opponent, and then it also has the 1 black. Each player puts the top card for his library into the graveyard. This doesn't go infinite with the crank, but as long as you keep hitting creatures off it, it's going to do a lot of damage. Anyway. That was basically the combo. That's more or less the same bits for number 1. So any of those pieces with the other one goes. So we've got another thing. So this is Leyline of the Void. The Leyline series are basically, well, the most recent one was Leyline of the Guild Pact, which sees some play in 5-color decks. Alright, so the Leylines are basically a cycle of spells that originated from, I can't remember what set it was from. I mean, the links on Moxfield, you'll be able to look up all the cards, what set they're from, or you can pause the video. I mean, so this version is being from M11. So it's 2 in a black for an enchantment, but if Leyline is in your opening hand, you may begin the game with it on the battlefield. It's if a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. So this is basically and it also it's basically graveyard hate, which is free if you get it in your opening hand. I don't think I've ever had it in play in my opening hand with the other pieces. Anyway, so that, and it also goes well. You can also play stuff like Drafty Voidwalker and stuff if you want to hate the graveyard. There's also some more graveyard hate. Anyway, that's the Leyline. It goes well with this old card. So this is Helm of Obedience. As you see, there's a little nick on the top left-hand corner. It's not in mint condition. It's the only copy I could find. Anyway, it's Helm of Obedience. So this is 4 mana artifact. It's basically like it's an artifact. It has X and tap. Put the top card of target opponent's library into her graveyard. Continue doing this until you have put X cards in or a creature in from the into the graveyard. Whichever occurs first. If the last of a card put into graveyard is a creature, you bury the helm, which basically means goes to graveyard. It's destroyed basically. Yeah. So this in combination with the Leyline reads basically the Leyline. You only have to activate this for 1 with the Leyline in play, because basically then it will mill out the entire opponent's library, because it never sees a creature going to the graveyard, and it basically just removes their entire deck from the game. No need to put mana. Anyway, that's Helm and Leyline. The Helm was relatively expensive, but the Leyline's seen some reprints, and the Leyline's good outside this. So now we have the other one. So we got one of the more recent additions to the deck. This is Bruvak, the Grand Deloquent. He's also seen a couple more prints now. This was the original printing in Jumpstart. He's also got some other printings in, or was it one of the master sets? Anyway, it's a 2 and a blue for 1 and a 4. It reads, if an opponent would mill 1 or more cards, they mill twice that many cards instead. So basically, you have to have an effect that will mill, like, say, half the opponent's library, and that will mill out their entire deck. This is also more commonly seen as a commander if you're playing a mono blue kind of version of this deck, and most commonly seen with Persistent Petitioners. I hate Persistent Petitioners. I don't generally like the cards which disencourage people to have multiple cards of the same card in the deck, stuff like Relentless Rats, and more recently Slimes Against Humanity and stuff like this. Anyway, Brewvac is a commander as well. You can also play that option if you want. So the stuff that mills the half of the opponent's deck, I'm only going to show some of them because the rest are in the creatures in that section. Anyway, so this is an example. This is Traumatized. This basically is target player puts the top half of his or her library into the rounded down into the graveyard, and that's the original version from the version of what I remember most, because that was the set I mainly started playing at. Was the first set I started playing tournaments at, which was Odyssey. All right, that's Traumatized, and one of the iconic mill cards. And this is one of the more recent ones. I think this is relatively expensive. Anyway, price charting. Sorry, not price charting, I mean Moxfield. I was getting confused. My video game ones, I use price charting. Price charting you can do on Magic cards as well now. I mean, so I don't particularly do it on that service. Alright, Madden Cacophony for 1 of blue for sorcery. But it's each opponent mill 8 cards. If this was kicked, which is 3 in blue, so kicker is like an extra cost as you play the spell. Instead, each opponent mills half their library, so it's like a Traumatize effect. At one more cost than Traumatized, but like it's all opponents, which is a better version basically of the card. But I still play Traumatized because it's still quite good. Anyway, I think this card is relatively expensive as well. Right, and then we go to the cheaper this combo in the deck. So this is going to be, and you say what? So we're going to get to the giveaway now. So this is Grindstone. So this is basically a 1-mana artifact. This is the original version from Tempest. Now this card goes infinite with another card, which we'll get to in a minute. And this card has also seen a reprint recently in Outlaws of Thunder Junction, so it's not as expensive as it used to be. So it's a lot more accessible now, and it sees playing like Legacy in it, which it sees playing Legacy. We get to the giveaway now, so I'm giving away, to celebrate this video, I'm going to give away a copy of Grindstone. Which is, I'm not giving away the card. I haven't got a way to do that yet. Anyway, no, I'm going to give a copy of Grindstone, the PC game. So there's a game on the PC called Grindstone. It's a puzzle game. It's a match-free basically game. Anyway, if you want to claim a copy of Grindstone, all you need to do is go to the comment section below the video, and there'll be a link to there'll be a section. It's a Steam game, so it's going to be on PC on Steam. So basically, you just need to type the code into Steam, and you'll be able to redeem it in that. All I ask is, if you claim it, if you've claimed the game, please like the comment beneath, so that we can just say it's been claimed. Anyway, back to the Magic. Anyway, so Grindstone. So Grindstone is a 1-mana artifact. This is from Tempest. Use the Thunder Junction one. I'd rather have a foil one from Thunder Junction, to be honest, but I haven't got it. Anyway, so and I haven't opened one, so like I'll try and get one at some point. I'm away, or I like foil cards. Anyway, so Grindstone reads 3 mana, tap, put the top 2 cards of target player's library into the player's graveyard. If both cards share at least a colour, repeat the process. So this is like another card that came out later, but this is the easy version to cast, and it only costs 1 to cast. So basically, if you have another, it goes in combination with, it's good against monocoloured decks anyway, but if you combine it with Painter's Servant, this is a 2 mana artifact creature. It's a Scarecrow. That's one of the most iconic scarecrows in Magic anyway, with 1 free body. It says Painter's Servant comes into play, choose a colour. All cards that aren't in play, spells and permanents of the chosen colour in addition to their type. So that basically means Grindstone's always going to hit on everything. So it basically mills out their entire deck again. And Painter's Servant is relatively expensive. Right, so before I get onto the main deck, all the other cards in the deck, there were a couple of honorary mentions. So I didn't have Drafty Voidwalker in the list currently, though I should probably be putting it in. Anyway, the up-to-date list is always going to be on Moxfield, and then I was looking through EDH Rec, which is EDH Rec is the site that is useful for building decks. It gives you ideas, and you can scroll through and look for various categories and various things. So there's a combo using Oona, the Painter's Servant that I just shown you, but you need some other pieces as well to mill everyone. It's basically infinite mana. So if you add a Prismite and Ashnod's Altar into the loop, you can basically activate Oona, sack the thing to Ashnod's Altar to generate mana, and then you can filter it with the Prismite to make coloured mana, And then you have infinite coloured mana. You can just remove everyone's deck from the game again, and you also make a load of fairies as you're doing this as well. So that means there are. Oh, bear in mind, if you mill someone out, unless you have a thing that forces a draw, you won't win instantly. You'll basically have a period in which they can do stuff in their upkeep before they draw a card. So you don't win instantly, but you're pretty likely to win. All right, let's go on to the rest of the deck. So we'll go through it by category. So we'll just start with the Planeswalkers. All right, so we've got some Planeswalkers. So the original Planeswalkers cycle is Jace, basically, and there are various equivalents of Jace that do various things, normally mill people on it. I had the original Jace in this deck, but I took him out because I didn't feel he was very good. If you don't have some of the other cards in the deck, you can play the original Jace anyway. So, I mean, I took him out. This is large Jace, so this is 3 of blue and a blue. For this Jace, where it's either Jumbo Jace or whatever. Is he the biggest one? Yeah, he's 5 mana. The other Jace is only like 4. Anyway, this is Jace Memory Adept. This version being from M13, and he's 4. So he's a 4. Train just went past. Alright, that's me just being distracted. Anyway, so don't forget, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps me grow the channel. I mean, I'm going to keep doing these videos. I've been going for 2 years now. I'm also going to do some other videos which should be coming out soon. So in terms of Magic videos, I'm going to be doing a pack opening for the new Bloom Burrow set, which looks quite cool. It's got a kind of animal theme, which I like. As people know, I like my pets. My dog's been in the video loads of times, and my chinchillas are next door having a sleep as we speak. Anyway, I'm going to be doing a pack opening for Bloom Burrow. And I'm also going to be doing a Hearthstone pack opening as well. Both of those sets are a week away, so it's going to be busy week next week. I mean, to say the pack openings I normally do on release event after I've built up some packs winnings from the pre-release. So join me for those if you can. Okay, so this is Jace, the Memory Adept. So he's got 4 Loyalty Planeswalker, and his +1 is draw a card. Target player puts the top card of his library into the graveyard. That is targeted, but the 0 mana is. These are mostly the targeted. The 0 mana is target player puts the top 10 cards of his or her library into the graveyard, so that's quite a hefty chunk. Generally with these mill cards, you're looking at ones that don't generally target people and they're looking to aim at thing, but I think this one's good enough anyway. And it's ultimate, the -7 is any number of target players, each draw 20 cards. Then we go on to some more Planeswalkers. So we've got Ashiok, Nightmare Weaver. So he's 1 of blue and a black for 3 mana Loyalty Planeswalker. Its +2 is exile the top 3 cards of target opponent's library. Its -X is put a creature card with converted mana cost X, exile with Ashiok, Nightmare Weaver onto the battlefield. Under your control, the creature is a nightmare in addition to its other types. Its -10 is exile all cards from all opponent's hand and graveyards. Then we've got another Ashiok, Nightmare Muse. These ones are all foil. Ashiok Nightmare Muse is 3 in a blue and a black for 5 Loyalty Planeswalker. I do like the art on that card. It looks very kind of like a Dark Souls kind of horror kind of thing. So Ashiok has +1 is created 2/3 blue and a black nightmare creature token. I knew I haven't got something. I haven't looked out the nightmare token. With whenever this creature attacks or blocks, each opponent exiles the top 2 cards of their library. -3 is return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, then each player exiles a card from their hand. -7 is you may cast up to 3 face-up cards your opponents control from exile without paying their mana cost. And we've got Liliana, there's a proxy one. This was the original Liliana. So it's 3 of black and a black for a 5 Loyalty Planeswalker. Its +1 is target player discards a card, not particularly useful, but like if they've got very few cards in their hand, it's okay. Its -2 is tutor, so search your library for a card, then shuffle your library and put the card on top of it. And its -8 is Rise of the Dark Realms, effectively, which you could also play in the deck if you wanted to, but I think it's a bit expensive for what it does. It basically puts all the creature cards into all graveyards under player under your control. That's on the Planeswalker body. Alright, so we go into the creatures. So this is the most recent addition to the deck, and this is a relatively expensive card at the moment. So this is Ormog the Defiler. I have yet to play it. I'll be playing the deck at the weekend, so don't forget, if I'll be playing this deck at the weekend to all my regular play groups anyway. So this is Ormog the Defiler. This is 10 mana for a 7/7. It's one of the new Eldrazi along with Kozilek and the other ones. So it says when you cast this spell, target opponent exiles half their library rounded up, which is similar to one of the other traumatized things. Oh, so this isn't traumatized, this is more an exile effect. The reason to say I haven't played the card yet, I just bought it the weekend. So he exiles half their library rounded up, which is a powerful effect. It's got ward, which is if you sack two permanent, you sack two permanents to target it. Ulmog is that enters the battlefield with a number of +1/+1 counter equal to the greatest mana value among cards in exile. And Ulmog has Annihilator X, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on it. So you get a lot for your 10 mana investment. And even if it's countered, you still get the cast trigger. And then we go on to the other Ulmog, the Ceaseless Hunter. This is 10 mana for a 10/10. It's when you cast him again, it's exile 2 target permanents. It's got Indestructible. And when it attacks defending player, exiles top 20 cards of the library. So it has good synergies with the other one. Then we go on to the multicolored creatures. I aim for about 35 minutes, 40 minutes on these videos. And this is a Scourge God, 3 blue and a black for a 5/5. It's a legendary creature, it's a god, it's often seen as a commander for zombies as well. It's in this deck anyway, I'll explain in a minute. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses X life and you score X, where X is the number of zombies you control. It has 2 blue and a black, exile target creature card from a graveyard creature token that's a copy of it, except it's a 4/4 black zombie, and it has the god clause, so it's when the Scourge God dies, return it to the owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. Then we've got Lazav, so this is Dimir Mastermind, so this is a double blue, double black for 3/3. It's got hexproof, so it's basically when a creature card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, you may have Lazav become a copy of the card, except its name is still Lazav Dimir Mastermind. Legendary in addition to its other abilities, and it gains hexproof, so it's good when you send large things to the opponent's yard and it helps you get. So this is Nemesis of Reason, 3 blue and a black for a 3/7. That's a weird stat line. It's really big on the back, not very powerful. Anyway, it's a Leviathan horror. It's whenever it attacks, defending player puts the top 10 cards of his library into the graveyard. And you've got Sigh of Stagnation, 4 blue and a black for a 5/7. This is another Eldrazi. This is devoid, so it means basically he has no colour. It's whenever a land enters the battlefield under opponent's control, the player exiles top 2 cards of his library and you draw 2 cards. Then we've got Phoenix, the God of Deception. This is 3 blue and black for a 4/7. This is another good alternative for a commander if you don't want to play Oona and still want to play Dimir as opposed to just a mono blue. So this basically is indestructible, it's a god. So it's as long as your devotion to blue and black is less than 7, it isn't a creature. It's creature you can control have tap, target player puts the top X card of his or library into the graveyard, where X is the creature's toughness. Then we've got Raxiel, the Risen Deep. There are quite a few Kraken and things and Leviathan kind of things in this that have synergies in these decks. So we've got 3 double blue black for 5/8. That's another weird stat line as well. It's got Island Walk and Swamp Walk. I don't think there are that many creatures in Magic that have 2 kinds of evasion. And you've got Urborg in the deck to give people swamps anyway, and it goes well with a couple of other things. It's basically whenever Raxiel deals combat damage to player, you may cast target instant or sorcery from that player's graveyard where paying its mana cost. If the card will be put into the graveyard this turn, exile it instead. Then we've got Nightville Spectre. This is the one of the promos. Just use which one we run. It's blue-black hybrid, blue-black hybrid, blue-black hybrid for 2/3 with flying. This also saw play in, I believe, in Devotion decks of the time. So it's 2/3 with flying. It's whenever Nightville Spectre deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles the top card of his library. You may play cards exiled with the Spectre. Then we've got Fallen Shinobi. This is a 3 blue and a black for a 5/4. It's a zombie ninja. I don't see zombies as very stealthy, particularly. It almost sees he playing like Yuriko decks as well. So it's got Ninjutsu 2, blue and a black. So basically you return an unblocked attack creature to control to the hand and put this into the battlefield tapped and attacking. It's whenever this deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles the top 2 cards of the library until the end of turn. You may play the cards without paying mana costs. Then we've got Skezik, we've got Lords of Secrets. This is the original printing. It was printed in one of the guild kits as well. I think some of these other ones are also in the various guild kits as well if you want looking way to get them. I don't think they're very much now. This is 3 blue, blue, black, black for 5/5/5. It's if it would deal combat damage to a player, instead put that many +1/+1 counters on it, and then that player puts that many cards from the top of the library into the graveyard, so it deals damage in the form of milling people instead, and it grows. Then we've got Thief of Sanity for 1 of blue and a black for 2/2 flyer. It's when it deals combat damage to a player, look at the top 3 cards of that player's library, exile one of them face down, then put the rest into the graveyard. For as long as the cards remain in exile, you may look and cast them, and you may spend mana as though mana any type to cast a spell. Then we got Mirko Vosk, Mind Drinker, for 3 of blue and a black for 2/4. With flying, he's a vampire as well. I've got a vampire deck as well. As I say, I haven't featured that one yet. I'll do that in a later video. This is the foil one. So it's basically whenever Mirko Vosk deals combat damage to player, that player reveals cards from the top of his library until she reveals 4 lands. Then put those cards into graveyard. It's basically a spell on a body. So this is, I believe I can't remember, it's Consuming Apparition, I think, I can't remember. If you look through the thing, you'll see what the English one, I've got this foreign one. So it's basically an XX, where X is the amount of cards in graveyard, and whenever I play a spell, I think it mills them until they hit a land. I believe that's right. Alright, then we've got the mono creatures. So we've got Sepulchral Primordial for 5 of black and black for 5/4 with Intimidate. When it enters the battlefield for each opponent, you may put up to 1 target creature card from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Just a solid thing, and it's stable in quite a few black decks. Geth, Lord of the Void, for 4 black and a black for 5/5. It's got Intimidate again, and it's got X and a black. Put target creature, artifact or creature card with converted mana cost X from an opponent's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control tapped. Then that player puts the top X cards of his or her library into the graveyard, which is the main reason we're playing it, and it's got some evasion on it as well. It's a cool card. I've got it in my zombie deck as well. Then we've got Extracted Demon 4 and a black for 5/5 flyer. It's basically got, whenever another creature leaves play, you may have target player put the top 2 cards of his or her library into the graveyard. I've also got this in my demon deck. It's got Unearth, which means basically it will come back once by paying the Unearth cost from the graveyard, but it will be exiled at the end of turn. Then we've got Haunt of the High Tower. So this one's not very as known. So this was this was the buy a box promo. So this was the exclusive to the set for the buy a box. Anyway, so it's 4 black and a black for a 3/3 flyer with flying and lifelink. It's whenever it attacks, defending player discard a card. Whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So it's a good way to gain life. Then we've got Mortivore. So this is another card from Odyssey. So you see the symbol for Odyssey is the Mirari, which was one of the key things in the storyline. This is 2 black and black for an XX. So there was a creature that used to be the green Lurgoth was the original one. This is a black Lurgoth. This is Mortivore. Well, Tarmogoyf's technically a Lurgoth now, and then say, anyway, I digress. Anyway, Mortivore's power and toughness equals the number of cards in all graveyards. All creature cards in all graveyards, and it's got the black to regenerate on it. Then we go Lord of the Void. So Lord of the Void is 4 black for a 7/7 flights. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, exile the top 7 cards of that player's library. Then you may put a creature card from among those onto the battlefield under your control. And then we've got the very obvious one. So this is Sheoldred the Apocalypse. As you see, it's a foil one. I got quite lucky on Sheoldred. So I've got a whole set of them. I basically opened, like 3 of them came out of promo packs. I had a video, I showed my Fricks in one before. Anyway, this is this foil one. Anyway, so if you don't have Sheoldred, and there's probably some other cards you can get that are cheaper, but it's so good. It's 2 black and a black for the 4/5 body with Death Touch. It's whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life. And when an opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life. And as you see, it's got the lovely, like the Frixian mark on it. Anyway, Sheoldred, a powerful magic card, and just one of the best black creatures in the game, full stop. And then we've got Consecrated Sphinx, just another value engine. So Consecrated Sphinx is 4 blue and a blue. It's for 4/6 with fly. Whenever an opponent draws a card, you may draw 2 cards. And it also goes incredibly well with Sheoldred and various forced draw effects, which we play. We've got Teferi, so it's 2 blue and a blue for a 3/4. This is also, I see play in my Wizards deck, and I've got it in various other blue decks I play. So this is basically, it has flash. Its creature cards that you own aren't in play have flash, and each opponent can only play spells as a sorcery. So it basically stops counter magic and various stuff like this. This is Nezahul Primal Tide for 5 blue and a blue for a 7/7 Elder Dinosaur. It can't be countered. You have no maximum hand size. When an opponent casts a non-creature spell, draw a card. Discard 3 cards to exile it. Return it to battlefield tapped under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So it's fairly resilient, draws you lots of cards, and it's basically immune to quite a lot of removal. This is Ambassador Quarters for 1 a blue and a blue for a 1/3. This is basically, it reads 3 mana. Target player puts the top 3 cards of his library into their graveyard. I mean, you say this is probably better if you have an infinite mana combo in the deck. I don't currently have one, but I might put one in. Right, then we go Diluvian Primordial. This is 5 a blue and a blue for a 5/5 flyer. It's when it enters the battlefield for each opponent, you may cast up to 1 target instant or sorcery from that player's graveyard without paying its mana cost. If a card cast this way would be put into graveyard this turn, exile it instead. Right, getting through the creatures. I mean, so there are quite a lot of creatures in this deck. I mean, this is Jace's Archivist. This is also in my Nekazar deck. So this is 1 a blue and a blue. What are people's favourite commanders? Let me know in the comments section. So this is 1 and a blue for a 2/2 with Wizard. It's basically Windfall on a body. I'm not playing Windfall in the deck. I'm trying to differentiate this from my mill deck, so from my Nekazar deck. So I'm not playing as many of the forced draw things. I'm trying to play the mill things instead, although I do include this one. So this is Windfall on a creatures. It's blue. Each player discards his or her hand, then draws cards equal to the number of greatest cards a player discarded this way. So it's Windfall on a body. And we've got another one. So this is the Chancellor of the Spires. So for those that don't know the Chancellors, they're basically another cycle of creatures that basically had a effect, basically similar to like a ley line, which trigger on the first turn. If they're in your opening hand, you basically reveal them. So they're what's called a pre-game action. So this is 4 blue for a 5/7 flyer. But you may reveal this card from your opening hand. If you do it at the beginning of the first upkeep, each opponent puts the top 7 cards of his or her library into the graveyard. And it's got another thing. It's when it enters the battlefield, may cast target instant or sorcery card from an opponent's graveyard without paying its cost. So it's similar to the Primordial. Then we've got the last creature in the deck. We've got Fleet Swallow. So it's 5 a blue and a blue for a 6/6. It's whenever it attacks, target player puts the top half of his or her library round it up into the graveyard. But now this goes infinite with Brute Vac, where it will just mill out someone. It will mill out the entire deck, as long as you get to attack. Right, so we've got some spells. We've got Cyclonic Rift, the ubiquitous one. We don't really need to explain that. It's just very, very good. And we've got some tutors. We've got Vampiric Tutor. If you don't have some of these cards, like, I normally just proxy them. So I own at least one of every single card in there. Like, if you don't have the things, just try and substitute various different things. These are the most expensive tutors that I have. I mean, you say you can substitute the lower value ones as long as you basically want any unconditional ones. So Vampiric Tutor, Demonic Tutor, those are we've got removal. So we've got Damnation, that's just kill all creatures. And we've got some ones that might not. We will do the removal section, so I'm just playing these. So this is Garrett's Way, destroy all creatures you don't control, and all planeswalkers you don't control. So that's 9 mana left. Alright, then we've got one of the last spells. So this is Mind Grind. So this is similar to what Mirko Vosk does on a spell. So it's an X spell, blue and a black. It's each opponent reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal X land cards. Then put all cards revealed this way into the graveyard. X can't be 0. So if you know roughly how many lands, you know how many you need to do. But late in the game, you don't have to put that much mana into it. We've got the Mana Rocks. So we've got Soul Ring. Pick your favourite. There's so many Soul Rings now. It's as opposed to the Arcane Signet. Pick your favourite one. We've got Sword of Body and Mind. There's a proxy one, but like Sword of Body and Mind is worth explaining. I've got it in my equipment deck as well. It's a 3 mana artifact which gives +2/+2 protection from green and blue. And it's whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to play, you may put a 2/2 wolf creature token onto the battlefield and that player puts the top 10 cards of his library into the graveyard. Let's see if I've got a wolf. Yep. So that was one of the wolves I used. So that's that one. Then we got a few more artifacts. So these are going to be variations of Millstone. In this set, I don't think Millstone's good. Back in the glory days of Magic, it was a good card. It was one of the first alternate win conditions in the game. And now I don't think it's good enough. It was in the core set for a long time, and then now they've taken it out. Anyway, the core set is supposedly coming back soon anyway. Anyway, Sands of Delirium is a Millstone variant. It's a 3-mana artifact. It's got X tap, target player puts the top X cards of his or her library into graveyard. And then we've got another variant. So we've got Keening Stone. This is 6 mana. This is 5 and tap, target player puts the top X cards of his or her library into the graveyard, where X is number of cards in that player's graveyard. It grows quite quickly. And they've got Alter the Brood. So this one's quite expensive in foil. So this is a 1-mana artifact. It's whenever another opponent enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent puts the top card of their library into graveyard. Now, if you have Oona on the battlefield and you're making a load of fairies, it's milling them quite quickly. And we've got Altar of Dementia. So this is just another way to mill people if your creatures are dying. This does go infinite with various things, but not in this deck. It doesn't. So we've got it's sacrifice a creature. Target player puts a number of cards equal to the sacrifice creature's power from top of library into the graveyard. Then we've got ways to draw more draw engines. So we've got the Howling Mime effect. So this is Howling Mime. And the larger variant, Font of Mythos. So that basically is like double Howling Mime. Then we go on to the enchantments, and then we've got some lands, and we're basically done. And my friends just messaged saying the Bloomburrow Commander decks are out later today. Spoiled, and they'll be out later today. Oh, for those that don't know, before I get on to the enchantments, so you see I'm filming on my Red Mana Madness map. And thanks to Anthony and Dennis at Red Mana Madness for providing the map to me for free. I was the first subscriber, so don't forget to subscribe to Red Mana Madness on YouTube as well. He also does singles as well, so if you check out that. And he also might be getting in doing some more custom mats. If people are looking for a nice play mat, he'll be able to sort you out. Okay, right. So I'll move on to the enchantments. So we've got Mind's Dilation for 5 blue and a blue enchantment. It's when an opponent casts his or her first spell, that player exiles the top card of his or her library. If it's a non-land, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. And they've got Psychic Corrosion. So it's 2 and a blue for a enchantment. Whenever you draw a card, each opponent puts the top 2 cards of their library into graveyard. Combines well with stuff like Consecrated Sphinx and Shieldred. Then we've got Force Fruition. I'm using the one from the Lorwyn. And a lot of these enchantments were printed on the extra sheet recently, so they can get this card for what is now quite cheap. Anyway, pick the artwork. I prefer this artwork anyway. This is 4 blue and a blue. For whenever an opponent plays a spell, that player draws 7 cards. Then we've got Memory Erosion, which I believe is the last enchantment in the deck. So 1 a blue and a blue. It's when an opponent plays a spell, that player puts the top 2 cards of his or her library into graveyard. Good against people that play lots of spells. Right, so we've got the land. So as I say, as always, you're basically I play the normal. I play 36 lands, and you're looking at playing the right amount of coming to play tapped and untapped lands. If you don't have all the dual lands, don't worry about it, kind of thing. Just play what you have. Right, so I've got swamps. I'm playing this nice Amonkhet one, I believe. Yeah, these are Amonkhet. And there's, I believe, 11, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 11. Oh, and this one over. Because for some reason, I didn't count how many lands I was playing. 35 for quite a while. Right, that's those. Now we got islands. Using these are the BFZ ones. This is the Bowl Island, probably my favourite island. And we've got probably 11 or 10. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Right, and now we go on to the dual lands in no particular order. Use what you've got. Right, Fetid Pools, that's the cycling land. Don't really need to explain. Sunken Hollows, so this is one that comes into play tapped unless you can control 2 more basics, but there's a high percentage of basics. Temple of Deceit, blue-black Squire land. There's also the Seville land as well, which you could play from the new one, but like I don't think it's particularly that much difference in this kind of deck. Pluto Delta, blue-black sack land. Oh, can you say before I go in, so blue-black dual lands, they're some of the most expensive for some reason. I believe blue-black dual lands are the one of the most high-priced dual lands. Anyway, Underground River, blue-black pain land. Those been reprinted loads of times now. Watery Grave, Shockland, Drowned Catacomb, Command Tower, pick your favourite artwork, there's so many. Urborg, Bajuka Borg, which is a good way of exiling people's graveyards if they're using, with the disadvantage of playing this kind of deck is if people are graveyard based, you're sending them a lot of stuff to their graveyard, so the best way to get rid of them is just exile various things. We've got Besiji, that's the original Besiji. This is from original Kamigawa, it's not the green Besiji, which is the one we're seeing now. So this is a legendary land from the original Kamigawa. It's basically enters the battlefield tapped. It's basically pay 2 life, add 1 colourless to your mana pool. If the mana is spent on an instant or sorcery spell, the spell can't be countered by spells or abilities, which is quite key in this land. And these are 2 lands where I'm not sure should be in the deck. They probably should be more blue-black land, and they probably should be a Nick Force in there because I've got a lot of coloured pips. I just haven't finished finalising the deck list. I've changed it recently and haven't got around to doing some of the bits, but there should probably be Nick Force in there for sure. Wasteland, original one from Tempest. I'm not sure these lands are very good in this deck. I would say in monocoloured decks, I think they're okay. You can afford to play so many colour sources, but now I'm not so sure they're very good in this deck. Probably should be a Nick Force and probably the blue-black other land. And this is a strip mine as well. And this is original black bordered strip mine for Antiquities. This is, I don't know which version it is. It's relatively expensive. Anyway, this one's in really good condition. I think it's around 35. Pick your favourite artwork on strip mine. I'm not sure if they're all the same rarity in that set, but I think some of them were rarer than others. It's like the Mishra's Factories had different artwork. I think that was Antiquities was one of the first one to feature multiple art variants. Anyway, the last land is Nephalia Drownyard. So this is, for those that don't know, it's a mill land basically. It's like a spell kind of cross. It's a land that taps from colours mana, or 1 blue and a black. Its target opponent puts the top 3 cards of his or her library into graveyard. Alright, that's nearly 45 minutes. So that's the mill deck done for today. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, and I hopefully will be seeing you again. I mean, so for those that don't know, I also do various video game content. So as you see, the piles on the floor, those are leftovers from filming my video game videos. So I also do various videos about my video game collection as well. And when you say thank you very much for watching, hopefully I'll see you again. I aim to try and do at least one of these a month on the Commander series anyway. And when you say, the last one I did was Dinos. If you want to check out, anyway, I'll link all my videos in various playlists for YouTube, which will be linked in if you go to the channel. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks very much. Bye.